Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started on the update, just to, because that's, we don't need any votes on that. So I will share my screen here with the schedule just to see how things are going here. Okay, you should be able to see it now.
Yep.
Okay, well, the good thing is the project continues to track on schedule. We provided the MSBA with our monthly report yesterday. We've been continuing our work on the VE list of items. We met with the subcommittee to finalize the selections, and we'll go over that a bit later. Over the last month, we've been busy reviewing the scopes of work with the contractor, WT Rich, and preparing for the next set of contract awards, as well as taking a few days off with their families over the holidays. The meetings, the descope meetings are important to try to prevent construction claims, because we make sure that all aspects of the contract are identified and that everyone understands what's being purchased and that nothing is missed. We'll be reviewing the LORs, which were a result of those meetings, a little bit later on tonight. But those are kind of the main activities that we've been doing. We'll talk a little bit later about the work that's going on site. I think Tom's going to talk about that. So that's kind of the budget, or I'm sorry, the schedule. On the budget, the project continues to track to the budget. As you know, it hasn't been easy, managing all these changes in the market climate, but we've been able to responsibly award contracts and keep the project on schedule, and also manage to keep a reasonable amount of contingencies so that we can respond to future changes in the project. To date, there have been no change orders on the project. There have been some additional costs at the site, but those have been able to be managed with the limited funds that we set aside for such purposes. So yeah, we'll be continuing to do our best to manage the construction project going forward, and hopefully we'll be able to buy back some of those items still that had been cut previously from the project.
Bye-bye.
So that's kind of it for the schedule and the budget. Tom? Tom Hood, can you hear me? You're muted. So Tom can tell us a little bit of what's going on the site. I can pull that up for you, Tom.
Thanks. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So foundations are ongoing. We're into building B now. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Brian. Trade bid awards went out on 12/16. Award letters to non-trade priority 1. Subcontractors sent out on 12/31. On 12/21, and letters of recommendation for bid package 2 were submitted this week to CBRE. So those will be in your package this evening, I believe. Full week look ahead. Sorry, Brian, I can't read it, and I'm on my, We continue to, hey, Alex, can you jump in? I still can't read it. I'm on my phone.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just run through kind of where we're at construction-wise. So like Tom mentioned, we're in really good shape in terms of foundations for building A right now. The perimeter footings have all been poured. We've got our foundation walls for A all poured at this point. We're probably halfway through the isolated footings, sort of the footings within the building footprint itself poured for A. And we're probably about 60 to 70% done with the foundation walls in B. So we're in really good shape to wrap up what we need to wrap up by the end of this month. We are targeting structural steel to arrive. We're pushing for the first week of February either the last day of January or the sort of the first week of February, to start getting structural steel going. We're in the process of getting through the shop drawings now with structural steel. We've got about half of the batches or steel sequences complete. And yeah, actually, now that you're looking at some photos, you can kind of see those isolated footings that I mentioned earlier. So that's within the building footprint. You can see the boxes that they make, and then they've got a whole bunch of rebar in those, and you can actually see the leveling plates being set for the structural steel columns as well. The photo on the right's looking west to east, so you can see the row of isolated footings that have already been installed. So that photo was taken probably a week ago at this point. So we're in really good shape foundation wise, and like I said, structural steel is kind of the next big milestone piece of our schedule to occur. Again, some more photos of the foundation work going on, a lot of the form work. You'll see the rebar installation, and then just maintaining winter conditions, making sure that the subgrade below these footings aren't frozen, and then obviously wrapping all of our recently poured concrete to make sure that they're curing properly.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell. We'll get the waterproofing going along the foundation walls. That's kind of another big step, and then we'll backfill those, kind of tidy up the site, and then we turn it over to the structural steel erector for the next, probably 2 months, 3 months, getting A building and then getting B building going as well.
Okay, looks like John Dunn has a question.
Well, before we start, Matt Fusco has arrived, and we can call this meeting to order. And I will call this meeting of the East Gloucester Veterans Memorial School Building Committee to order. This meeting is recorded by video and audio in accordance with the state open meeting law, consistent with the governor's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and banning certain gatherings of more than 10 people. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation. If you're calling in on a phone, we're not taking any, there's no public input, so we won't read that. And I would just like to, if we could just have a roll call so the people in the audience can know who's present. And I will just go through it. I'm here. Maria Puglisi is our host. Brian Becker is our co-host from CBRE Harry. Alex Corbett is from WT Rich. Ben Lummis is here. John Dunn, Matt Fusco, Tom Hood, Adam Roselle, Amy Pasquarello, Brad Dorr, Grant Harris, John Rich, Kathy Clancy, Michelle Rogers, Richard Sapphire, and Yash Palmera. And that being said, we will then move on to the meeting. John Dunn had a question.
Well, you know what, Jonathan, I could wait until we kind of, if we want to review the things that we just talked about, or I could ask the question.
Yeah, well, I mean, so basically, we were just talking about the work that's going on the site, that we're doing foundations, and steel will be next. So what was your question, John?
So my basic question is, as we're pouring concrete, which when I drove by today, we were pouring, is there any issues, based on weather, particularly the cold and going down to, close to zero? Is that an issue at all here?
John, what we do to try to mitigate that is, you see these orange blankets.
Yep.
The concrete, the recently poured concrete, obviously has a heat to it, or a warm temperature to it. So that kind of provides its own level of, measure against freezing. So with that, and then you've got these blankets that kind of encapsulate the concrete as well, you really kind of maintain the heat that's required for the concrete to cure. So, I mean, we pour foundations in this type of weather all the time. As long as you're maintaining these kind of winter conditions and strategies, there's really no concern. You
also have heaters too, right?
Say that again?
You also have heaters on site, right?
Yeah, when we need it, we'll use the heaters. We're also doing third-party testing on the concrete to confirm that the structural integrity and and compressive strength of that concrete is strong enough and curing properly. And from what I've seen coming back from those reports, they're all right on target for compressive strength. So
All
we're
right,
doing
that's
well.
great.
We're managing it well.
All right, thank you, Alex.
Sure.
Okay, let's go back to the agenda. And the first order of business. And the first order of business is the approval of the minutes of the East Gloucester Veterans Memorial Project meeting minutes of December 16th, 2021. Are there any corrections or omissions? Okay, seeing none.
Actually, one correction.
Okay,
I think Matt Fusco on the first page of the meeting minutes as under attendees is identified as an operations manager.
oh,
Congratulations, Matt.
What's the pay like for that?
Probably less than yours right now. So-
All right, forget it then. Change that.
okay. With that correction, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote. Ash?
Yes, sir. Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
thank you. Ben Lemus,
Yes.
thank you. Richard Safar,
Yes.
thank you. Greg Kadadmatori,
He's not here.
okay. Caitlin Clancy,
Kathy, you're muted.
Talk louder.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you. Donna Compton,
not
She's away.
here.
John Dunn,
Yes,
thank you. Gary Frisch,
He's not here.
sorry.
Not
Matthew
here.
Fusco,
Here, yes.
thank you. Grant Harris,
Yes.
thank you. Joel Esvido,
Not here.
Jamison Manning,
Not here.
Amy Pascarello,
yes,
thank you. Adam Rosell,
Yes.
thank you. Caitlin Nunes,
Not here.
thank you.
Okay, it passes unanimously, and we'll move on to our invoices, and we have 6 or 7, I believe.
Yep, 6 invoices here.
Okay,
So the first invoice is for Doran Whittier, $128,178. This is for work done in December on bidding and contract administration, as well as some on-site geotechnical services that were provided. Invoice number is 32.
3-2, nice. Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the invoice for Doran Whittier, number 32, for $128,178, and I so move.
Second.
There we go. Is there any any discussion? I don't see everybody, so just speak up if you have to talk. Okay, seeing none. Yash, could we have a roll call vote?
Sure. Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
thank you. Ben Lemus,
Yes.
thank you. Richard Safar,
Yes.
thank you. Katie Clancy,
Kathy, you're muted.
Shaking her head, yes.
yes,
thank you. John Dunn, John Dunn,
Seems like it's disappeared.
Come back to him. He gets called away often.
Matthew Fusco,
Yes,
thank you. Grant Harris,
Grant,
yes.
you're muted.
thank you. Amy Pascarello,
yes,
thank you. Adam Rosell,
Yes.
thank you. John Dunn, are you back?
It wasn't.
No, he seems to be off the call. I don't see him on here.
Okay.
Okay, well, like I say, he comes and goes. So it passes 8 in favor. The next is WT Rich
Is it okay to continue with these without John? present?
without John. Technically, no. Okay, so
I can try to call him.
Yeah, I wonder if he's having technical difficulties or
yeah,
something.
he said he was working from home.
Right when you get to the WT Rich bill, John Dunn leaves. Coincidence? I don't know.
Well, we could skip this. And do what?
I mean, I can talk about some of these other things and then we can come
Yeah.
back to vote on them.
Okay, Brian, why don't you do that? Sorry. This
Okay.
is
So yeah, besides the invoices and the updates, the next thing on the agenda was the VE approval. So last meeting, we voted on an acceptable list of VE items based on the recommendations of the VE subcommittee. Since then, we've had a chance to refine those and update some items, also finalize some of the pricing and its initial pricing. And in the process, we identified 2 items that after further investigation, we lowered in priority. These were changes to the ceiling acoustics in the cafeteria and the sturdiness of the wall finishes in the gym. After a more detailed investigation by Doran Whittier, they determined that eliminating some of that sound insulation might pose some acoustic issues that we wanted to avoid. And additionally, the costs with changing the quality of finish in the gymnasium basically weren't worth the risk. So those had been modified. So we went back then to the VE subcommittee to get a final decision of recommendation for the school building committee on which VE items to accept. And that's what we're going to be going over now. Let me pull that up here.
John Dunn is back.
John Dunn
Great.
is back. Stick around this time.
Don't leave, John.
Well, I'm trying not to, but I'm having difficulty here.
Yeah, we had a feeling.
Okay.
Okay, so here
All
you
right,
can
so
see, let's just finish up with this.
on the VE,
Jonathan,
go ahead.
yeah, and then we'll go back to the invoices. So here you can see the summary of the items 1 and 2 that were accepted. So those are highlighted in yellow. And
Brian, you're sharing the wrong screen.
We don't see your screen, Brian.
you don't. Okay.
I think you're sharing the wrong screen if you have 2 screens.
Yeah,
I have a bunch of screens here.
yeah. We get to see ourselves twice.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. We got to practice more of this. We're not doing very well with technology these days.
Jeez. Okay. Stop that. Okay. Try this again. How about
Yeah.
now? Okay.
That's it.
Great. So yeah, so here's the finalized summary. You can see the items highlighted in yellow, so the total amounts that were accepted in VE. And the good thing is, not only were we able to go through and get all these finalized, but in the process, we had some additional money that we could allocate to what the first choice was for buying back previous alternate, which was the athletic surface over the asphalt paving. So we got to add that back into the schedule. So that's great news. The list of all the VE items was included in your package, so you've had a chance to review all those. And what we'd like to do now is have a vote to accept this final recommendation from the VE subcommittee to move forward with executing the modifications to the project. Now, we still have to get all the contracts awarded. So if in the process of getting the final pricing from the contractors, there's any major changes, we would work that out with the VE subcommittee. But we'd like basically the authorization to move forward and execute these items that are on the list that have been recommended by the VE subcommittee for the amounts that are shown on here.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? This is a little complicated. And so basically, this is the same list that we saw a month ago with some modifications, correct, Brian?
That's correct. Yeah, we removed 2 items, and then some of the items have clarified in terms of pricing and whatnot.
Right. And at that last meeting, we said we were going to continue to work on it. And this is the work that we've done. And this is the final recommendation. Now, as some of these are going to be done through change orders, could you just explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so for example, with some of the trade contractors that have previously been awarded, there are some items on here that concern their work. So we're going to go out to them and we're going to say, you know, give us a proposal, a formal proposal that we can accept to do this work. And we're under the standing that the proposal will be very similar to what the price is there. And then if so, we will execute a credit change order on the contract for that work.
Okay, any questions? And once again, I can't see everybody, so.
I'll just comment. So, you know, as we've seen before, as you look over these are, you know, these aren't programmatic changes. You know, you see like A05 is, you know, adjustments to the soffits and the ceilings. You know, I think it was a good choice. You know, based on Dorn Whittier's advice, you know, not to reduce some of the sound cancellation or sound dampening, you know, in and around the cafeteria and the gym, because that's the sort of thing that can actually impact student and staff experience. But you can see that a lot of these are, you know, changes to locks on cabinets, you know, changing in materials, changing some flooring. And these are things that, you know, that it's a question of, in some cases, you know, and also we also talked about, you know, durability, and are we replacing materials with other materials that's still very durable and easy to, you know, clean and maintain, and you know, so we consider that as well. So, but the important piece is that that, you know, getting comparable materials, saving some dollars, staying on budget, but in no way at this point. We've actually just done a great job of staying away from programmatic elements that, you know, impact education and student staff experience.
Yeah. And I would just add that Joe Lucido has seen this list and was at the meeting and is and it's I'm not going to speak for him, but he raised no objections. Okay.
I'm also pleased that able to get through this process, able to get in the you know, the area for the play areas, sort of back to their design, and still have some opportunity to get other elements back in as change orders as, you know, process continues and as things continue to sort out. So all in all, I think I'm doing quite well, staying on budget in a, you know, a historically difficult era for, construction projects.
Any other
Yeah,
questions?
Jonathan, just a quick question. So to accept 1 and 2, the VE savings is, if I'm reading this right, $877,000. And the delta to budget is 629. Am I reading that correctly? So we're good by 250,000 bucks, round numbers?
So some of those costs still need to be used for various allowances and buying out the work.
Yep.
But yes, we plan on putting forth a full GMP that is at or under the budget next month.
So the VE changes basically give us an extra $250,000 to move through the balance of the project. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
It's a juggling act, but
Yep.
the balls are still in the air. They haven't hit the ground yet. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I'll make a motion that we authorize the WT Rich to proceed with issuing the contracts or with the adjustments as described in the VE presentation.
Yes, to move forward with executing these VE items.
A second motion.
Executing. Okay. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. Seeing none, Yash, can we have a roll call vote?
Yes. Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
thank you. Ben Lemus,
Yes.
thank you. Richard Safar,
Yes.
thank you. Katie Clancy,
Yes.
thank you. John Dunn,
Yes.
thank you. Matthew Fusco,
Yes.
thank you. Grant Harris,
Yes.
thank you. Amy Pascarello,
Yes.
thank you. Adam Russell,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay,
Passes
so
unanimously. Thank you very much. Do we want to go back to invoices?
yeah, let's go back to the invoices, picking up with
Everybody
an
loves
invoice.
getting paid, right? Especially, yeah. People like getting paid.
Okay, can you see the invoice now?
No, we're seeing ourselves again twice. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, we had a glimpse of it for a second.
Yeah,
There you go. Yep.
There we go.
Sideways.
Yeah, this one is sideways. Okay, so this is WT Rich's invoice in the amount of $820,985. This is requisition number 5. And this is for the work that was done in December, including concrete, steel drawings, and then some additional site work and obviously the oversight and management of the project.
okay. All right, are there any questions? Okay, I'll make a motion that we authorize the WT Rich in requisition number 5 for $820,000, $20,985, and I so move.
Second.
Second.
Second, there we go.
Beat you, John.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, Yash, can we have a roll call vote?
Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
thank you. Ben Lemus,
Yes.
thank you. Richard Safar,
Yes.
thank you. Katie Clancy,
Yes.
thank you. John Dunn,
Yes.
thank you. Matthew Fusco,
Yes.
thank you. Grant Harris,
Yes.
thank you. Amy Pascarello,
Yes.
thank you. Adam Russell,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, it passes unanimously. Next one is, are these, the next 3 are all through Dorn Whittier, is that?
No,
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 they're
this is
separate.
the requisition. Yep, this is directly with the city. This is
Okay,
an invoice for Chris Howe, architectural consultant, and this is the third-party code review that was requested by the building inspector. This
okay,
is the second part of their invoice. They've completed their review and they sent the final one to the building inspector yesterday or today.
okay. So I'll make,
This is invoice number 202123 in the amount of $2,250.
okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the payment of the invoice to Christopher D. Howe Consulting, number 202123, for the amount of $2,250, and I so move.
Second,
Okay. Any discussion? Yash, can we have a roll call vote?
Sure. Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
thank you. Ben Lemus,
Yes.
thank you. Richard Sapphire,
Yes.
thank you. Katie Clancy,
Yes.
thank you. John Dunn,
yes.
thank you. Matthew Fusco,
Yes.
thank you. Grant Harris,
Yes.
thank you. Amy Pascarello,
Yes.
thank you. Adam Russell,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, it passes unanimously. Now we have two invoices from UTS Testing Services.
Yep, these are for the on-site testing, like Alex was mentioning with the concrete. So this is, the first one is invoice number 97569 in the amount of $2,320. And can we do both of these at the same time?
Yes, sure.
And then the second one is invoice number 97104 in the amount of $3,390.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the two UTS Testing Services invoices for a total of $5,710. And I so move.
Second,
Okay, any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Yash, can we have a roll call vote?
Yes, sir. Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
thank you. Ben Lemus,
Yes.
thank you. Richard Sapphire,
Yes.
thank you. Katie Clancy,
Yes.
thank you. John Dunn,
yes.
thank you. Matthew Fusco,
Yes.
thank you. Grant Harris,
Yes.
thank you. Amy Pascarello,
Yes.
thank you. Adam Russell,
Yes.
thank you.
Passes unanimously, and we have one more for CBRE Harry.
Yep, final invoice for CBR Erie for project management services for the month of December. This is $60,000 in accordance with previously approved billing schedule.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we approve the CBRE Harry invoice PJIN 0027902 for $60,000, and I so move.
Second,
Okay, any discussion?
Brian, what's extra services mean?
That was for a time extension that was part of our contract. It's being billed now. So as part of extra services, those are the MSBA billing codes.
Does that have to do with the
So,
delay of
Yeah,
getting?
this was set a long time ago,
Right.
and we hadn't billed for it yet.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there was a time extension for the architect and the OPM that became part of their contract, and we hadn't billed for that. So when we set up the billing schedule for the items that were still outstanding that hadn't been billed yet, those were included, and so those are being coded accordingly.
Okay,
that is correct.
Got it. Thank you.
thank you. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. Yash, can we have a roll call vote?
So, Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
Thank you. Ben Lemus?
Yes.
Thank you. Richard Safar?
Yes.
Thank you. Katie Clancy?
Yes.
Thank you. John Dunn?
Yes.
Thank you. Matthew Fusco?
Yes.
Thank you. Grant Harris?
Yes.
Thank you. Amy Pascarello?
Yes.
Thank you. Adam Rosell?
Yes.
Thank you.
Passes unanimously. And that completes the invoices. And let's see.
John,
So
can
now
you
we can
go
move-
back to the first invoice? We need a John Dunn's approval.
Oh, no, he.
Yeah, that's right. John Dunn did not vote on that because I think
Okay,
that's where it cut out.
Okay,
That was Doran Whittier's invoice.
right. You
in the amount of
disappeared.
100.
That's an important one.
I did disappear. Oh, I'm sorry, Brad.
All right, John, I don't take it personally.
All
I'm
right.
sure you don't. So,
So-
so give me a call tomorrow if you really need this.
No, well, we were in the middle of the vote when you disappeared, John, and we got to your name and so everybody has voted in favor to this point, and we just need your vote.
I would add my yes.
Okay, then
Thank
it
you.
passes unanimously as well. Thank you for that reminder, Yash. Okay, going back to the
What's
agenda.
next? Yeah, so the next thing is the priority 2 contract approvals. So you recall in our last meeting, we went through the LORs. Those are the letters of recommendation that are put together by WT Rich, that are reviewed by the project team, by the architect, and by the OPM. And we gave WT Rich authorization to proceed with awarding those contracts in order to keep the project moving on schedule and basically executing the work. So at this meeting, we're essentially looking to do the same. We're moving now into the level 2 priority contracts, and we have, I believe there are 6 of them here today. Let me pull these up,
Okay, I'm only seeing 5, but
or maybe they're 5. 1, 2, 3. Yes, there are 5.
okay, so these are.
So these are so these were all in your packet. These are the letter of recommendations from WT Rich. So if you look at each of these, which I'm sure you've had a chance to do, it shows, who the different bidders were, what the different bid amounts were, whether it was over or under to our budget, whether there was any MBE or WBE, and also any exclusions or qualifications. So as mentioned, we worked through these as a team. We, the architect, the OPM provided comments back to WT Rich. We worked through all these to make sure that we feel comfortable that it represents the proper scope of the work and that all of the items are included either in the letter of recommendation for that particular contractor or elsewhere as an allowance on the project. So we would like to authorize WT Rich to be able to award these 5 subcontractors as soon as possible. And we have here the summary that kind of shows, the most important amount for each of these. So you can see here on the left, these are the scopes of work that are being performed. So specialty doors, we had some folding partitions, the wood flooring for the gymnasium, carpeting, mats, and the fluid applied flooring, that's for the epoxy. So these were the low bid contractors in each of those categories. These were their bids. These numbers here are what we had in the budget, and then the variances, how those numbers compared. So you'll see that some of them were slightly over the budget and some of them were under the budget, but the overall net impact was $21,000 under the budgeted values that we had. So that's all very good. The total amount that we'll be asking them to execute is just under $500,000. And we were able to pick up 2 subcontractors that were minority or women-run businesses, which helps to boost our level. So for this award package, it's 33%. Our goal for the project is 10.4%. So that's moving us closer to that. And we do expect that we will meet or exceed that 10.4% goal. So at this time, we'd like a vote to approve the award of these subcontractors so WT Rich can execute contracts with the parties and keep the project on schedule.
Mhm. Any questions? Okay. Seeing none, I will make a motion that we authorize WT Rich to execute the 5 subcontracts for the non-trade contractors, priority 2, as presented. And I so move.
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Yash, can we have a roll call vote?
So, Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
thank you. Ben Lemis,
Yes.
thank you. Richard Safar,
Yes.
thank you. Katie Clancy,
Yes.
thank you. John Dunn,
Yes.
thank you. Matthew Fusco,
Yes.
thank you. Grant Harris,
Yes.
thank you. Amy Pascarello,
Yes.
thank you. Adam Rosell,
Yes.
thank you.
It passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And what else?
Okay, next item about LORs. So the vast majority of LORs have been processed, but there are still about a dozen or so that will need to be taken care of. We expect to have about half of those for review at the next meeting. So that would be prior to the execution of the GMP, but the other half would follow. So what we'd like to do is receive authorization for the OPM to permit the contractor to go ahead and engage with those subcontractors prior to our meeting. So essentially, the overall contract will be approved at that point at our next meeting. So this will not change any of the contract amount. It's simply a matter of verifying that that subcontractor is acceptable to engage with under those terms. And as with these other LORs that we've already handled, the OPM and the architect will work with the CM to make sure that all the work is properly vetted and accounted for in order to protect the city and the overall contract. So are there any questions about that?
Brian, can you just remind everybody what LORs are?
Yeah, so LORs are what we were just looking at. Those are the letters of recommendation. So it's a formal letter that states the construction manager wants to engage with a particular subcontractor to execute the work.
Very good. Thank you.
And the terms of that. Yeah. So what we'd like to have is a vote for the OPM to be able to authorize the CM to engage with those subcontractors that are presented in the LORs between the next school building committee and the one after that, because otherwise we would have to schedule a meeting as soon as these come up, and it stops the project from being able to move forward efficiently.
Okay, so basically what we're authorizing you is for you to enter into discussions with these subcontractors, correct?
Well, WT Rich is already going to be in discussions with them, and WT Rich is going to make determination that they want to work with this particular subcontractor on the project.
Okay.
And in the letter, they'll identify, what all of those details entail, and those details will be reviewed by the architect and the OPM, in consideration of the entire project and project drawings and all the responsibilities and all that, and all of that will be vetted. So
what you're saying is that we're authorizing you to move forward and present what we just passed, what we just voted for with additional subcontractors.
Can I
correct?
actually, yeah, but it's Jonathan, the big distinction is that next meeting, we're going to vote on the GMP. We're going to get the GMP, and then the GMP is the guaranteed maximum price is fixed, right? So most projects after that let the LORs just get handled by the OPM because they're all going to fall within the scope of the GMP. The GMP is not going to change. You've already committed, so it just gives a little bit more flexibility for that. Whereas for pre-GMP, we really want the building committee because you're authorizing us. We don't have an amendment to our contract yet, but you're authorizing us to award these contracts, which we're going ahead and doing. Once we have the GMP, that's an amendment to our contract. Those LORs are falling within an amendment that has already been approved, if that makes sense.
So
I guess so.
So once the GMP is approved, the dollar amounts to the contract are set.
Right.
So at that point, the LORs will not be adding any money to the contract.
Right.
Right now, each time we're authorizing the CM to move forward, we're adding money that's going to be into the contract. So there's a slight distinction there. But the review process.
It sounds like you're adding money to the bill. You're really adding money to the bill. You're adding money because we don't have a GMP in place, right? I mean, sort of separate from the GMP.
So now
are these folded into the GMP at that point?
Yes, they would all fold into the GMP. The number would not change.
Right.
The overall number would not change. We don't really need to vote on this right now. We could do it.
Yeah, I was
after
trying
the
to figure out
GMP
what the
gets
vote would
approved.
be. Yeah.
Yeah, why don't we phrase it a little bit better because we have one more topic, right, Bri? The draft GMP.
Yes, yeah, we just want to go through that. But this is the only thing that we need to vote on.
We don't need to vote. We can do it after we pass the GMP. Next meeting. There's nothing we need to do right now between now and the next meeting.
Because you guys.
I know we talked about in our meeting today. We talked about the process. We didn't make it clear that it didn't have to get executed today. It was just laying out the process down the road. So I know you're looking at me like, John, why did we talk about this today if it didn't need to get
well,
voted on?
and we do need to vote on it. I mean, we're discussing it. I mean, unless there's a reason that we can't, we may as well just get it done.
Because we have 5 minutes left. These guys don't seem to fully understand it. And I want to make sure I get 5 minutes for the draft GMP discussion.
Okay. That's what we want to do. Okay, let me pull up that.
So, Brian, can I share my screen?
Yeah, you can share your screen.
Maria, I think you have to enable me.
Yep, hang on one second.
So WT Rich has put together a draft of the GMP. The GMP is something that we plan on awarding at our next month's meeting. You've all had a chance to look at the document as such, and we're presenting it just so that you have an understanding of how it's put together and what to expect. As I mentioned before, our intention is to have a draft GMP that is at or under the construction budget. You'll see a number of different exhibits in this GMP. Exhibit A lists all the documents that are part of the contract. So those are the drawings and specifications produced by WT Rich, or I'm sorry, by Dorian Whittier. Exhibit B shows the GMP contingency, and that's about the same amount that we had at our 90% CD estimate. It's a pretty typical amount, represents 1.5% of the value of the work. And the purpose of this is to allow WT Rich to move forward with contract buyouts in case there's variation with that.
So, Brian, do you mind if I just jump in here on a couple of quick things?
Sure.
So next meeting, we're going to present you with the final GMP, and we're going to ask you to vote on that. So I was really adamant that we wanted to get something in front of you this meeting so that you could get a general feel of the structure, the form, the substance. And it's pretty simple. This first page is two pages is the cover page. This provides a summary of the GMP. The total amount here is 52 million and change. That includes pre-construction. When you take out the pre-construction, it's this number here, 51,925. That's exactly our MSBA approved budget. It's exactly that because, you know, we were under, but we filled it out with some allowances for now because we do want to come in. We actually don't want to come in under budget because then you give that money back to the MSBA, right? So we want to come in exactly on budget. That's where we are now, and we have some allowances. And just to kind of take you through the structure of it, there's these exhibits in here. Exhibit A just lists all the plans and specs. It's kind of one of the longest ones, but it's kind of boring. It just lists drawing, page numbers, and specs section numbers. The GMP is this, Exhibit B is this proposal, or this is the whole breakdown of how we got to that total number, 52,114, including pre-con, without the pre-con, the 51,925, exactly on budget. This is where we were before the 19 million with all our previous amendments. Okay. And then this is what we're proposing to add. The 31 million is all the remaining direct costs. Some of those you've already approved us to do, trade contractors, priority one, but there's a whole, I'll get there in a second, but there's a whole list of every cost that comprises the amendments and comprises this cost of work. And it's all got all the detail to kind of back that up. And that's how this is like the summary of how we got to that number. These other exhibits, I'll go through them pretty quickly. These are the allowances that are contained within the GMP. So these things of costs will be tracked against these. Spending will be authorized and tracked and billed accordingly based on actual costs. We have this little owner versus CM category. Owner means if there's an overrun, it's a change order to the GMP. There's an underrun, you guys get a credit change order. CM ones, if there's an overrun, it comes out of CM contingency, right? So there's some that are owner and there's some that are construction manager allowances. So there's a bunch of those. I'm not going to go through them. This is again just the structure. These are all the alternates. This is a draft too, so some of this might get tweaked between now and the final. This is all the alternates. So 1A has been accepted, is included in the GMP. All these other alternates are available. We put the dates by when we want a decision. And this price status estimated versus firm, well, we don't have any that are firm. These are based almost exclusively on subs that we have not completed the buyout yet. So that's why we don't know what these are, but we're comfortable offering them as alternates with the understanding that we can't just pick them and they're done because we don't have these numbers finalized yet, but we would get the best pricing and we would be in this ballpark. We're very confident for the alternates. I'm not going to go through this. This is all the unit prices. We need to update this. This has the ones from the last amendment. Exhibit F is important. This has all the assumptions, clarifications, and qualifications. Really, this is the one that CBRE and Dore and Whittier will really dig into. But if you want to, look through this, it's a lot of it's kind of basic boilerplate stuff. Again, I'm not going through this with you guys expecting to read anything I'm flipping through. I'm giving you kind of the high level tour. So there's a number of those qualifications. Exhibit G is just the schedule. We're going to finish by June 2nd. Building all completed, 2023, ready to go. I did want to get to this attachment A. It's pretty big and detailed, but this is the one, and I'm going to show you the full screen so you can see it. But this is the one that has every single line item that comprises our cost, which amendment it was in, 1, 2, or 3. It shows whether it's a trade contractor. If it doesn't say trade contractor, it's with one of these others. It lists kind of the status now, if we've already bought it out and who the contractor is. What we have here is if it's, some of these are not bought out yet. So I think we use yellow for not bought out yet. Yeah, these are just about to get bought out, but you can see we still have some remaining ones, but this has everyone. You want to really focus on these last two columns. This is what we carried in the budget, and this is what the GMP amount was. And then there's any savings. So this is real, like anyone who wants to get in the meat meat and potatoes of what we have. It's all in here for the details. This has all the allowances in it. And very importantly, it has all the VE items in here. So we're saying to get on budget, we're going to realize these VEs. Now, some might be a little higher, some might be a little lower. And if we don't hit it exactly, we'll do a final change order to tweak it. But we're hoping to, overall, with all these VE to get there. That's it. So I'm sorry I went through that whole thing, but I want to give you a flow for it because this is the document we're going to ask you to vote on next time. And some of you may want to dig into it a little bit more. Some of you may say, I trust my consultants, which are, totally a good approach because they're going through this in detail and they're making sure they understand it. And but we will get you the final GMP. Our goal is to get it to you 1 week before the meeting so that you have a little more time to digest it, but not like the day before. So
Great.
sorry to jump in there, Brian. I just want Brian.
No, that's fine. I mean, it's no problem. It's your document, so it's good for you to explain it. If anyone does have questions or comments, after they've had a chance to really dig into it a little more, feel free to give me a call. I'd be happy to, discuss any of them with you and make sure that the necessary things get forwarded on to WT Rich. But like I said, John said he'll plan on having it a week in advance for the next one as well.
I know you guys got to get on this next meeting, a bunch of you. Any quick questions on this?
John, this is Ben. Just so your sense, this is whatever 90% of the way done, and you guys finished, and then whatever remaining, meaning most of what we're looking at now will not be changing as you guys finalize it. Is that right?
Yeah, to tell you the truth, we got a little jammed up on time. I really wanted to get this to you guys this week and explain it to you. Doran Whittier and CBRE, we just finished it a few days ago. Doran Whittier and CBRE were not given, nearly enough time to do a thorough review. So really the main changes you'll see is the result of their comments and their, feedback. There might also be, if we have a few more of these LORs that get presented with this GMP next week, some of those values we're carrying as budget numbers might turn into projected actual award numbers. So there might be a little bit of financial distinction there. And the other thing I'd say is we're playing around with some of the allowances. Like I said, we had a little extra money, so we just carried some extra allowance. We have some change orders from the early work that we're trying to get wrapped into this, so we start with a clean slate. So those are the type of things, but I'd say 90% won't change, but those are kind of the things I mentioned, which kind of be subject to some changes.
And then Brian, when's our next meeting?
The date, it's same Thursday. I have to look up what the date is.
Second Thursday of the month?
Second Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
February 10th.
February 10th. Okay, great. All right, good.
Okay. Is there anything else that we need to talk about? There was some issue about, and I'm going to get it wrong, Brian, the special ordering a beam for a ceremony to top off the building when the steel goes up.
I have not followed up with Matt and Amy about that. I will.
Okay.
But I can report back to our product team about the appetite for that.
Yeah. The question is whether we want to have another celebration when the steel is sort of topped off as a traditional time to sort of memorialize. So we'll think.
Matt always wants to have a celebration. Amy's a little more practical, so we'll work it out.
Okay.
I'm not climbing up on any beams, I'll tell you that right.
That's not required, Matt.
All right.
You put the bean on the ground,
As-
everyone signs it. It's there for like a week or so. Everyone comes by. That's the logistical thing, is how do you get everyone to the site to sign it? Sometimes we just leave it out in a place that people can get to during the day, and then we close it off at night where they can come in. There's some markers there. But if you want the kids to sign it, you'd have to organize, or they can sign it right before it goes up too, right? You can kind of do it both ways.
Is it something you could take to a school?
Not for free. I'll just say not for free, Ben. I wish I could.
And how do you keep the dogs off of the beam?
It's on some, it
Matt
sounds
and I
like
will
some
carry it around.
horse
Matt and I-
dogs, you
Matt and I
know,
will
it's
carry it around.
elevated a little bit. It's elevated a little bit. It's
Just
not on the ground.
asking, just asking.
For free.
Okay, it's something to talk about at our next meeting. Correct. Okay.
All right, that's, I think that's it.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Yash, can we have a roll call vote?
Yes, sir. Jonathan Pope,
Yes. Yes.
thank you. Ben Nemes,
Yes.
thank you. Richard Safar,
Yes.
thank you. Katie Clancy. Yes. Thank you. John Dunn,
Yes.
thank you. Matthew Fusco,
Yes.
thank you. Grant Harris,
Yes.
thank you. Amy Pascarello,
Yes.
thank you. Adam Russell,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned and thank you all very much and we'll see you all soon and stay warm.